welcome back to the series all about your first time at Disneyland Paris and how to have the absolute best trip. This episode is going to be all about the rides at Disneyland Paris. I'm going to run you through just a couple of the really popular rides, maybe some hidden secrets you might not know about, thrill rides, family rides, and everything that I think you need to know to have the best possible time. I'm going to start with my personal favourite category, which is going to be the thrill rides at Disneyland Paris. So there's a fair few throughout the two parks, maybe not as many as some other theme parks around the world, but we do have a fair few at Disneyland Paris. So starting in Disneyland Park, we have the absolute classic Big Thunder Mountain. This is a thrill ride, but it's not as intense as some of the other coasters that Disneyland Paris has. So it's one for all the family. If you go on the Disneyland Paris app, you'll be able to see the height requirements as well. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I have seen young children going on it. It just has a lap bar, it doesn't have a harness or anything like that. So Big Thunder Mountain is a classic and probably my favourite ride at Disneyland Paris. I just think it's so much fun. It's just, the theming's amazing and it's just a Disney classic. So definitely recommend Big Thunder Mountain. We also have Hyperspace Mountain, which is like Space Mountain, but it has a Star Wars overlay. So very fun ride, but again, this one is a thrill ride. It has an overbody harness, but it's almost like a step further than that because it basically has a rubber plate that sits over your entire chest basically, and it proper pins you into the seat. And boy, do you need it, because it's a rough ride, I won't lie to you. It really does shake you around, and as I'm getting older, I can feel it more and more in my body as I come off that ride. I'm like, oh, that hurt. But still up there with one of my favourite rides, and definitely good for thrill seekers. We also have a ride called Indiana Jones and the Temple of Peril. Again, similar to Space Mountain, you have an over-shoulder harness, but it is rough. It's an outdoor coaster. It probably lasts maybe about a minute long. It's not a very long ride at all, but it is very good. It does have an inversion as well, so it does like a 360 loop, and it's a really good ride. The theming is okay because it's an outdoor coaster. You can't really theme it too heavily, but it is a good ride for thrill seekers out there. I think that's probably it for Disneyland Park. So if we move over to Walt Disney Studios, we have a coaster that is called Crush's Coaster, and this is actually exclusive to Disneyland Paris. You will not find this anywhere else in the world, and I love Crush's Coaster. I think it's a fantastic ride. So it's basically, you sit in like a turtle shell, so there's two people here and two people here, but you're like back to back, so you're both facing outwards. And it's basically a spinning coaster. So you shoot off and you go through some Finding Nemo scenes, and then it turns into a dark coaster ride where you can't really see anything at all, but it is so much fun. A lot of people do come off saying that they didn't enjoy it because they didn't know what was coming, or if they suffer with motion sickness, that they felt coming off that they felt really ill. So if you do suffer with motion sickness, maybe give that one a miss, just because it can be quite intense, I'm not gonna lie, but I personally do love it. The wait times do get crazy busy for it though, like crazy. It's just a slow loading ride because they load one shell at a time, so 4 people, and that probably takes about 30 seconds. And you probably think, well, that's not a very long time, but when you're thinking how many people are probably in the queue, 4 people every 30 seconds is not a lot of people. So it's a very slow loader. So if you are wanting to ride it, I definitely would get there as early as you can in the morning, or maybe consider a Premier Access for that one. It is quite expensive. It's one of the most expensive ones you can buy. Or maybe just go last thing at evening. If it's like an hour wait, you might queue for a little bit longer because they do tend to overestimate the waits towards the end of the day. But it's definitely one of the most popular, one of the ones with the biggest wait time. It quite often will sit at 60 plus minutes all day from 8:30 in the morning until whatever time the park closes. So yes, I'll leave you with that information. If you want to ride it, you're either going to have to pay the money, queue the wait time, or get there strategically, so early as possible or as late as possible. But yes, Crush's Coaster is an awesome ride in Walt Disney Studios. We also have another roller coaster that is called Avengers Assemble Flight Force. This is the old rock and roller coaster. So if you went to Disneyland Paris 10-15 years ago, maybe even maybe 5 years ago, I don't know when it closed exactly, to be honest, but basically they reskinned Rock and Roller Coaster into Avengers. Fantastic ride, fantastic theming. I love it personally. When they first rethemed it, I thought, oh my god, this is rubbish compared to Rock and Roller Coaster, but over the years it has grown on me. So again, great ride for thrill seekers. Again, over shoulder harness, you get pinned in and it does proper throw you around, so you do need that over the shoulder harness. But another fantastic ride. We have Tower of Terror, again another Disney classic. So, Tower of Terror is very much a love or hate. I personally hate it. I will ride it, don't get me wrong. I'll go on it quite happily, but I will not have a good time. But yeah, and I've heard, and I can probably confirm, that Disneyland Paris has the scariest Tower of Terror. It is creepy, really, really creepy. And it also has, I think, probably the most amount of drops, because this one doesn't take you like on a track. It literally just, you go up and down rather than going off into like a scene like Walt Disney World's. But yeah, it's definitely one of the spookiest in the Disney parks around the world, I'm not gonna lie. And then, I don't know if you'd class this one as a thrill ride. I know a lot of people refuse to ride it, but I'm going to include it just because I do quite enjoy it personally. And that's going to be RC Racer, that is in Toy Story Playland. So again, you've got an over-the-shoulder harness, and it's basically like a U-shape. Can't really call it a roller coaster, but it kind of is. So it's a U-shape, and it's basically, you sit in the car and it goes whee, like that. It's a very short ride. It really doesn't last long at all. I personally do quite enjoy it, but it's another one of those that are very slow loading, very high wait time. So if you are going to ride it, again, as early as possible as you can in the morning, consider a Premier. Do they have Premier Access? I don't know if they actually have Premier Access in this one. I don't think they do. They do have a single rider line though, and that can be helpful. So consider a single rider. And yeah, if not, last thing at night, just get there and hope that the queue's not as bad as it says it is. I think I've covered all the thrill rides there. I'm aware I've been talking for quite a long time about them, but again, my personal favourite category. So I will stop talking about the thrill rides now and we'll move on to some smaller rides. But yeah, I think I've covered pretty much everything. Next up, we're going to move on to some Disney classics. So I'm talking rides like Peter Pan's Flight, things like Pirates of the Caribbean. We've got Phantom Manor, which is like Walt Disney World's Haunted Mansion, but it's like Disneyland Paris' little twist on it. So we have a lot of similar rides compared to the American parks and even some of the Asian parks. We do have some similar rides, but some of ours have like a bit of a twist on them. So Phantom Manor, for example, it has a different storyline. So it's same basis of the ride, but different storyline. Our Pirates of the Caribbean, similar, but also different. I know that probably makes no sense. I think Peter Pan's Flight is probably a carbon copy, to be honest. And yeah, we've got stuff like Pinocchio and Snow White that, you know, are very similar to some of the other parks in the world. Just so many Disney classics, things like Star Tours. We've got Star Tours. That is all in French, I will warn you. Apparently you can ask a cast member if you'd like it in English, but it is up to their discretion whether they play it in English or in French. So 9 times out of 10, it's going to be in French, but we do have that ride. We have things like Autopia, which is just like Tomorrowland Speedway. We have Orbitron, which is very similar to Astro Orbiters. I don't know what it's called at Walt Disney World, the little rockets that go around like Dumbo, that thing. Dumbo's another classic, there we go. Like the carousel, we have all of the Disney classics at Disneyland Paris, things that you will see in other Disney parks, we also have at Disneyland Paris. And there's plenty of them, you know, stuff like the teacups, like there's so many rides that you will know from other Disney parks, or, you know, if you've done a bit of research about Disney parks, these rides will come up in your research. So plenty of Disney classics for all the family to enjoy as well. I did just want to mention with that one that a lot of the rides are actually accessible to younger children. So there are some rides, so if you have like, I don't know, an infant, you can actually take them on the rides. But do check the Disneyland Paris app because all of the height requirements will be on there. So if you go to the attraction that you're looking at, you can click on it and the height requirement will be in the description of that attraction. And if you have younger children, they also will be height checked as you arrive in that attraction. So if you know you want to take your 8-year-old on Big Thunder Mountain and you know the cast member thinks they might not quite be the right height, they will be height checked at entry of the queue and they might be height checked again before they actually board the ride. So if your kids aren't tall enough, don't risk it. Like I've seen so many people in Facebook pages saying that they buy inserts for their kids' shoes to make them tall enough for the rides. Please don't do this. Like the height requirements are there for your children's safety. If the child is not tall enough, putting inserts in their shoes is not going to help you in any way, shape or form. It's going to get your child on the ride, but God forbid something happens and you know, you're never going to live that down. So if your child isn't tall enough, I know it's frustrating, I know you want them to come on the ride with you, but the rules are there for a reason. But yes, a lot of the rides do have height requirements, but there are a fair few as well that any height can go on. You know, young people, old people, infants, teenagers, whatever height you are can enjoy those rides as well. So just a little bit about height requirements. They are in place for a lot of rides, but some rides do allow anyone and everyone on them. There are so many rides at Disneyland Paris, and as much as I would love to sit here for half an hour talking about every single one of them, I am going to wrap this one up here because I think I've covered a good chunk for you. So, you know, we've got some for the thrill seekers, we've got some for the whole family, you've got, you know, your Disney classics. I think I've covered probably as much as I can, because I like to keep these videos as short as I can, just because I want them to be like bite-sized videos for you to get as much information as I think you need, but without sitting and staring at my face for the next hour. So I do hope that you found this video enjoyable and informative. Again, as per usual, if you have any questions, pop them in the comments box below, reach out to me on Instagram at Stace Does Travel, and I will be more than happy to help you have the absolute best time at Disneyland Paris. It has so many fantastic rides for all the family to enjoy, all the thrill seekers, all of anyone who you have in your family will have a ride that they will enjoy, have several rides that they will enjoy and want to go on again and again and again and again. And again, I will just say, do consider Premier Access. If there is a ride you really want to get on and it has a massive queue all day long and you're just not prepared to stand in the queue, Premier Access is expensive, but it is an option. I did do a video about Premier Access. I think it was video number 6, maybe? I'm not sure, but it's in this playlist. So if you're not sure about Premier Access, go back a couple of videos, have a look at that video. I explain both options for Premier Access. So the Ultimate Premier Access, which is all day, all the rides, and also Premier Access 1, where you can buy individual ones. So if you're not sure, go back and watch that video, because it is quite useful to know about Premier Access if that is something that you were considering. So yes, don't leave Premier Access out because it is expensive, but it might be worth it to get you on some of the rides that you want to ride. So yeah, I am going to wrap this up actually here now. I felt like I said I was going to wrap it up a couple of minutes ago and then kept talking, but I am going to wrap this up here. Leave me comments down below, reach out to me on Instagram if you need to, if you have questions, if you want to chat, whatever. If you want to ask me about your first time at Disneyland Paris, give me a shout. I am here to help you have the absolute best trip possible. But with that, I am going to love you and leave you, and I will catch you in the next one.